film, gaming, pop culture. Welcome to episode 32 of Everything is Permitted here at Wade's Comic Madness. I'm your host, Julian Brown, alongside my co-hosts, Matt Repper and Brittany Tomes. How we doing?
Whoop whoop.
I don't know how to respond to Brittany there, but
You don't know how to respond to whoop whoop?
I don't know. It feels like we're back on our city in the hall.
Can you go like hooty hoo?
Oh God!
If a scale from 1 to woot woot, how you feeling?
I didn't know that was. Wait, I didn't know that was a threshold.
I didn't
On the
know
spot. Give me something.
I'm hanging in there. I was up till 6 a.m. today, so
Work day?
no, just playing Borderlands and doing other crap.
He's hanging on by a thread. Mm-hmm. Just barely. So woot woot for Borderlands?
Yeah,
Or we get to that later?
We'll get to that later?
I mean, I don't want to spoil it for Brittany, who I know is playing it, so I don't want to. I don't
That's
want to
fair.
delve into the nitty gritty of
Yes,
it.
you know, I played so much, what with my 60-hour work weeks.
Well, I know, but I don't want to ruin any plot points or anything like that.
Okay.
So.
As long as Tiny Tina doesn't die, I think we're good. He's like, yikes.
Matt was
she
very
doesn't.
silent for a
No,
second.
she doesn't, but I will say this real quick, is that Tiny Tina is criminally underutilized in this game.
Dang.
Like, she's barely in it. She has, like, maybe 1 or 2 missions she gives you, and that's it.
Man.
And you never see her again. At least so far.
She's amazing.
Like, I think there's a little epilogue that I still have to play, but that's it. So,
Hopefully there's Tiny Tina DLC.
I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping for, but I still stand by my thing. She should have stayed a kid. I still stand by that from last week.
I agree.
It's
Stop
good
time
to
jumping.
go back to past episodes because my rant/rave, I have a rant rave, is going to be harkening back to a
What?
past episode. Yes, it is a combo.
Combo!
Thank you. There it is.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, before we get started, time for yet another crowdfunding update, and this is a pretty cool update to have. We are only, at the time of this recording, $165 away from being fully funded. By the time that you're listening to this, we could be fully funded. We don't know.
We sure hope so.
Sure hope so. Thank you. We say it every week since we started this thing to everyone who's donated. It looks like we are going to reach our goal, and even if we don't, we have the ability to get most of the equipment that we need now, so... Yesterday, we did our drawing for a 4K copy of Avengers Endgame for the first 10 folks who donated, and congratulations to Vince Spiritoso, who's been on our show before, actually.
Yeah.
He won a copy of 4K Avengers Endgame, and I'm going to call him out here. He was really excited because he's yet to see Endgame.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh,
What?
You're in for a treat, Vince.
Yep.
Well,
So
I'm sure the ending's already been spoiled for him, like 3 ways from Sunday. But
you never know. People have ways of...
I don't know, man. Like, all the memes and everything like
That's true.
that have been on Facebook, like, there's no way that you would escape. If he has any kind of social media presence, he has not escaped this.
He's not active on Facebook too much, so that's a start because like all that shit's on Facebook. He's heavy on Twitter though, so
Okay.
who knows? Anyway, congrats, Vin. $165 to go. Hopefully, we've reached that by the time you're listening to this on Tuesday. If you haven't, I think by this time we have 1 more week to go, so it looks like we will get there. Just gonna keep that one brief. We're gonna get into what we have on today's show. We are going to be talking about Sony's State of Play, which I think we all agreed was a little bit of a letdown, besides Brittany.
No, I mean, it was still a letdown.
It was still a letdown.
What was announced for what I care about the most, I still basically already knew. Because I'm amazing like that.
There you go. And we'll get into that. Yeah, we're
Humble
going
brag there.
to be doing Sony's State of Play, and then Matt put a segment into our awesome treasure trove of podcast topics on our Google Drive, and came across this gem from page to screen. Anything from comics, books, whatever, an adaptation that we want to see hit either the silver screen or the television screen. We are going to be going down our list of those, so we have that to do. But before we get to those, as always, it is time for some rants and raves. And Brittany, you said that you had one ready to go.
I
so
finally have a rant, and I've prepared.
Hit
So,
it.
some of you that are on social media realize that I went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday with my family and friends. So, or no, it was all
She didn't
family.
go with us, by the way.
Nope, we were not invited.
Well, you know what? Next time. They made the plans with me. So, one rant I
What,
have
like,
just for...
we're not part of your family? Come on.
Hey,
Damn.
well, you know what? Next time we'll take 2 vehicles. We're all squad deep.
We'll convoy up there.
You guys didn't miss much because it was like super hot and we were all like sweating and dying. And I normally don't like sweat that bad, but I was like, wow.
I do.
this
I
is
would have been
painful.
miserable.
Yeah. So I like going later in October when it's like more fall, kind of spooky. There's good stuff. So
Sorry, we keep
can go
interrupting.
again.
Sorry.
No, you're good. But my rant is just for any time you go to like cons or fairs and you go to use your credit card. Like I know I take money out, like cash out, so I don't even have to deal with this issue. But occasionally you will have to use your credit card for something. And when there's different vendors from different states, you'll use your credit card at one vendor, and then when you go to another one, your card will immediately be declined because the company sees it as you just bought something in Ohio, now you bought something in Florida. You know what I mean? Depending on where the vendors come from.
I did not think about that.
It happens a lot at cons and fairs, which is why, once again, a lot of people try to bring a lot of cash on them, but sometimes it's not feasible. Or then you don't want to wait in line for like an ATM.
Wait, you're telling me it's not feasible to have a bunch of cash on you at a con when you're in costume and probably have a utility belt? Come on.
Not everybody does.
Not everybody has
I
a
didn't even
utility
have
belt.
pockets yesterday. I wore these athletic pants. But anyway.
Mistake number 1.
Shut up. But for the most part, like, some people will be selling really cool stuff, or maybe it's like slightly out of your budget range of cash you brought with you. But hey, let's tap into that bank account. I don't know how you live your life. I support all your life decisions, kids, especially if they're nerdy. So I went to go buy something, and I used my credit card, and I guess I used one at another stand, where I think I just wanted to keep a certain amount of cash on me for like using for drinks and different things where like it's just quick. So I guess I just bought something. It wasn't even that much at another stand, and then I went to buy one for somebody else, and then they were like, oh, it's declined. And I was like, how? I literally spent like $20 at another vendor. There's no way I don't have that money in my account, like, unless I just got robbed. So then I realized it's because, like, they said that their machine was hooked up to the state they're from, and I think it was Ohio. So I was like, oh, great. It's just annoying because you don't want to have to call your credit card company just to be like, oh, hey, even if I called you in advance and told you I was going to the Renaissance Fair, you probably still would have forgot, but I'm not being robbed right now. I'm just being nerdy. I wish I could sign, like, a contract at my bank to just let them know if it's a nerdy purchase, it's most likely me. Like, maybe if it's, like, something crazy, like over $1,000 or, like, really weird out of there. Although they did do that to me one time when I bought a laptop. And I was like, help me.
I'm with you there because I hate carrying cash. I almost never have cash on me, and I think some friends get annoyed at that because some friends like carrying cash, and I'm like, no, no cash here. Just take my card.
I do it if I know I'm going to do something. Like, I knew the Renaissance Fair is coming up where I know when I'm going to, like, Wizard World Comic Con or something like that, I'll have certain cash put aside. But then, obviously, I'm like, I already have this much in my pocket. Like, so then the other pocket's going to have my credit card in it. So that way, whatever I have to do beyond what I run out here, like, that's how I make sure I don't overspend, you know?
If, like, I know I'm going somewhere that is specifically cash only, then yeah, of course, I'm going to bring cash.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that...
I knew a lot of the Renaissance Fair, they're like, want you to pay in cash at all the vendors. But there's certain ones that if people make things themselves, they have like the Square Tech with them also.
Can you imagine like calling your credit card company and having to explain some purchases that some people might make, like hello, yes, I did purchase. So you purchased this $300, what is it, Kawaii body pillow? Yes,
right.
Yes, that was me. No.
And it was very cool. That just means cute, by the way, in Japanese. Fun fact. I don't know. I'm a language major, so I'm throwing it in
Dropping
there.
the knowledge as always.
But I bought these cool dragon bracers that were
nice.
rainbow.
And you didn't wear them,
cool.
so...
No, I did. I wore them here last night when I came into Science.
Yeah, but you're not wearing them now.
Oh, I could have. I just didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I'll show you guys.
I feel like Brittany, who's usually on top of like everything, is slacking today.
Well, you know what? It's been a long week and I'm exhausted.
I love busting your balls. It is what I live to do these days.
My imaginary balls.
Matt, rant or rave.
So I know I touched upon it before we started recording, and I actually think I have it as a topic in our Google Docs because I could probably rant about this for like an hour. But a few months ago, I think it was around E3 actually, Andrew Wilson, who if you don't know who he is, and you probably don't, he is the CEO of EA. Apparently he's very like hard to actually get an interview with, but this magazine actually got him. I forget what site it was. But they got him to sit down, and one of the quotes that he said in the interview, which chills me to my core, is in regards to video games, is that gamers, quote, want access over ownership.
Which is complete bullshit.
Yes.
You will not find a single gamer who says, I don't want to own my game.
There's a lot of people who are willing to surrender that because like Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, I know Sony has their thing where you just pay a monthly fee, you get all these games, play them as much as you want, but you never own them. So if it gets pulled from the store, guess what? You can't play it. And that's actually, I can't remember what company it is, but there's a thing going on right now where some well-known video game is actually getting pulled from stores because their license ran out. So if you don't own it, guess what? You ain't playing it anymore.
As someone in my 30s who still loves gaming and wants to stay at least attuned to gaming as it evolves because I want to be able to play with my kids, if something like that ever becomes permanent, I'm just going to dead stop. Like, it is not worth it to me to deal with corporate America and that kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
If I can't physically own, whether it's a digital license or a physical copy, then I don't want to be involved with you. Like, it's not worth it, because then you're just trying to fuck me over in some.
And that's,
some
I
way.
mean, as I said, like, I could talk about this for an hour, and literally it begs. And I know we've talked about digital things and streaming and other things like that in the past, but it does beg the question, and it'd be something that I'd be interested to ask people, like, what would be your limit that you would step out away from gaming? Like, if, let's say, the industry moved towards this, like, you pay the monthly fee and you play the games, but you don't actually own dick, would you want to still be called a gamer, so to speak? Would you still be in that? So
Yeah, it is a good point.
They can take our land. They can take our freedom. But they can't take our video games.
Oh, my God.
Thanks, William Wallace. I have a rant rave.
Okay.
I'm doing the... I can't do it like you can. Can you do it again?
Combo!
There it is. I got a combo. And it is something that we're going to touch on in the permitted minute, but I have to touch on it now, and that is Spider-Man. And Disney and Sony. Something that we've talked about now for kind of weeks on end. I am both thrilled and annoyed at this whole stupid situation. Why am I annoyed? I'm not annoyed as so much as they're like, well, it's a dead deal and the book is closed and blah, 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 blah. I'm annoyed now that we did a whole episode, not a whole episode, but a segment of our show, right, which is pretty much irrelevant now because we thought that Sony had the rights completely back to themselves and they were going to do some new things, and we talked about what they could do. And that's kind of not going to happen so much anymore. The deal, which I will get into in the permitted minute, says that he can possibly, that Tom Holland
And Venom and things
can show
like
up in Venom, but like Sony isn't at this point going to have that chance to create their quote-unquote Spider-Verse, unless it is a shared...
I mean, I think they still could. Like, the ideas that we floated, they could still do
They
them.
could theoretically do them if Sony wanted to get, I guess, more leeway. I don't know who won. That's the thing that's not very clear in this. Like, we don't know who won in this deal. I'm trying not to say exactly what happened because we're going to get to it in the permitted minute, but a deal was reached of a kind. And I don't know who gave in. Was it Disney or was it Sony? And that's what we're waiting to see.
I feel like this whole saga with what's going on with Spider-Man's rights is probably going to be a very interesting book to read.
Yeah, I would read that book.
You know what it would be called?
Oh, God.
Here
The
it
Game
is.
of Homes. Because in the Game of Homes, nobody really wins.
That was kind of...
That was a weak one.
Well, it went with what you just said, where you said, who really wins with this? And I was going to say, nobody really wins with this game.
Who tells your story?
Wow.
And that was
Okay.
somehow better than my horrible Game of Thrones pun.
Hamilton, hell yes.
Okay.
That's I actually was going to rave about that too. I will do a second rave, even though I didn't really rave about this situation. It was more of a rant, actually.
Yeah.
My rave, bravo, 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 the touring cast of Hamilton. I got to see it on Tuesday, and it was just fantastic. It was awesome. We saw it once in Chicago. It was amazing in Chicago. It was even better with the touring cast here in Philly. I want to go again. I want to see it for a third time.
It's so expensive, though.
It is
I'd love to see
ridiculously
that
expensive.
stuff, but it's like, oh, you want like a ticket? Oh, it's like $200. Oh, well, that's expensive for two people. No, per person. Like, well, it's great. I'm just going to go ahead and push the culture to the side here.
We got seats for $400 total, which is for Hamilton on the cheaper side.
Yeah.
And we had better seats and we're closer than where we were in Chicago. So it was just overall a better experience. What I will say is Deer Forest Theater charging $30 for an alcoholic beverage, not total,
What?
$30 per person for an alcoholic beverage is criminal.
Jesus.
Karen and I ordered 2 drinks, and the guy said $60, and Karen and I both thought he said $16. And we're like, oh, that's actually not bad. And then he turned the square screen, and I just said to him, did you say 60? He's like, yes, I did. We're not going to be able to buy these. He's like, okay, well, we can cancel that. And it obviously was not the first time someone had like scoffed at their prices and turned away, but like, come on.
I can buy a brand new off-the-shelf video game for $60, let alone a drink I'm going to drink within like 5 to 10 minutes.
Exactly. So that was a little bit of a poo-poo situation. But Hamilton was awesome. The whole Spidey situation is both awesome and annoying. That does it for rants and raves, so we can actually say what we're talking about there. It is time for
The Permitted Minute.
The Permitted Minute.
The Permitted Minute, and we're gonna go in 4, 3, 2, 1. Kevin Feige is heading to a galaxy far, far away. The mastermind behind the Infinity Saga is developing a new Star Wars movie with Disney.
In an attempt to make moviegoers feel comfortable during the film, Landmark Theaters have banned all Joker costumes during screenings of the movie. More on this in just a minute. Mortal Kombat is releasing what they are calling a raid, even though it's nothing of the sort. 3 players will team up, but not be on the same screen to do collective damage to one single boss.
Coming back to Star Wars news, Brie Larson is teasing fans with pictures of her in Jedi robes, sparking rumors that she's in Kevin Feige's new project. Brie's also just a massive Star Wars fan, so take for it what you will. In news that shocked no one, Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, and Laura Dern will all be returning for Jurassic World 3.
Last but certainly not least, Spidey is back in the MCU. That's what we were hearkening to. Shocked? No. Happy? Hell yes. The third film in the Homecoming trilogy is tentatively set for July 16, 2021, and per the deal, Spidey will be featured in at least one other MCU film. All right, with about 5 seconds left.
I like it. I like it.
And nobody stuttered.
Nope. Thanks, Richie. Richie, right?
I think he's talking.
I'm talking about
from
it.
It.
Yeah, I know, but Richie wasn't the one that stuttered.
No, which one stuttered?
Who was
It
it?
was,
Billy? Not Billy. There's no Billy.
They all have such generic first
give me 1
names. I
minute.
can't
They
remember.
really do. It's well, while Brittany's thinking about that,
he's Georgie's brother.
yeah, it's Georgie's brother.
It was Billy, wasn't it?
No,
No.
I thought it was Bill.
who knows?
Damn it.
I'm zoning out now.
It's not Richie.
No, Richie's the one that became a comedian.
I could have
He
sworn
didn't
it was
stutter.
Billy. I thought Georgie said Billy when he was getting dragged into the sewer by
Yeah,
Pennywise.
maybe. I'm zoning out now.
Okay. All
I
right.
can't remember. My brain's not in it territory.
Damn.
Let's talk about something that we touched on here in the Permitted Minute, and we've been talking about this movie a little bit in a few episodes because of the controversy surrounding it, and that's Joker. There's a lot going on, and we're going to be reviewing this film. We're going to see it next Saturday and then recording our review. There's all this controversy surrounding it. First, is it too violent of a film? Is it promoting violence? Are people going to go out and basically replicate what's happening in the movie? The military, the army, has warned about possible violence after. Yeah, it's crazy.
What?
Yeah,
I haven't heard any of this.
and for theaters
Yeah, I haven't heard this either.
it's everywhere. To be on the lookout for violence after the movie or in theaters, like you said during the Permitted Minute, Landmark Theaters not allowing costumes. I guess should the American people and these movie theaters be making such a big deal about this movie? After all, it's a movie.
No. I mean, the thing is that crazy, insane, stupid, dumb, whatever type of people are going to take whatever they want from any movie and use it in their own stupid agenda. And case in point, how many of the quote-unquote men's right activists take stuff from the Matrix and haha, take the blue pill and blah blah blah, the red pill, and they kind of miss what the point of the Matrix is.
And that it was written by trans women anyway.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like, okay,
So,
guys, quote it all you want.
Yeah, exactly. And so once again, people are going to take whatever they want from any given movie. And honestly, I've thought about Joker being this rallying cry for dudes, the ones I'm talking
just
about.
the dudes, but also listen, I don't think that we have any Trump supporters listening to the show, so I'm not afraid to say this, but it's it's dudes, it's white supremacists,
Yeah.
it's the possible the far leaning right, is this geared towards them, or is this not geared towards them, but is this going to make them do even more stupid shit?
They're gonna think it's about them, and then it's really not, and they're just
Yeah.
gonna be like, nobody laughs at my jokes either, so I get to kill people.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't take away my
I
guns.
thought similar things to what Brittany just said.
It'll probably be like that, but they always pick some weird villain. That's like the Punisher. For some reason, the right thinks that the Punisher is on their side, and I'm like, you do realize he's an ex-war vet who's very much anti the police
Going
and the
against the
establishment.
exactly.
Did you watch the show? Have you read the comic books? Do you get this character? Do you just like the cool skull?
I like the skull.
This skull's so cool, guys. Having said that, with everything that's going on in the country right now, with the far right, with white supremacy, with violence on the rise, was this the right time to make this movie? Should it have been made in the first place?
I mean, like there's never there's never not a well I mean all right, let me rephrase that. I was about to say there's never not a right time to make a movie, but it depends on what you're making a movie about. Like you're not going to make a movie about September 11th like the year after it happened, so to speak. So but it's a comic book movie. Despite what anybody related to the movie is saying, it is a comic book movie, even as avant-garde as it may be.
AMC artisan film.
Yeah, as like 8-minute applause at film festivals it may get, it is still a comic book movie. So it's like
as much as they're saying they don't want to call it a comic book movie because it's not taken from any comic origin, it is based on a comic book character.
Except well, that too, but I mean, they already have, like, whether they acknowledge it or not, like the whole thing of him being a failed stand-up comedian is taken directly, from the comics. So it's.
I feel like I won't be able to give my opinion on it until I see the movie, because we're all just guessing what the movie is really about, but we could watch it and it has like no sort of message that's supposed to be for people like that. And once again, they could take it however they'd like. But I mean, I have no doubt that after this, all these like random white men who might already be thinking about committing violent crimes will just be like, oh, well, now
Joker
I'm gonna
told
be
me
like
to.
Exactly. So stupid stuff.
You just brought up a point that I want to agree with and want to add on to, which is none of us have seen this movie yet. The only people that have are people who go to these fancy ass film festivals. Those are the people that seen it, people who have advanced screenings, reviewers. We haven't seen these movies yet, and I hate to go against people who've been victims of tragedy, but the reason this is kind of all in the news right now is because victims of the Aurora shooting after The Dark Knight came out, wrote to Warner Brothers about concern about this movie and violence. And I'm like, how can you do that if you haven't, and they've admitted they have yet to see the movie. Like, how does this correlate to the shooting that happened? You know what I mean? Like, I know it was someone who's mentally ill.
But he wasn't even dressed as the Joker. Like, the media assumed he was because he dyed his hair orange.
Yeah.
Like, it was really weird, but it had nothing to do... He didn't have any Joker-related things on him. So I feel like that's why they're thinking...
I thought these victims jumped the gun a lot with writing this letter, and Warner Bros, bro. Warner Brothers took a while to respond, but finally responded, was like, this is a work of fiction. So, take it for what you will. Sorry if you feel hard done by having not seen the movie yet. The last thing I want to touch on here is Landmark Theaters and what they did with banning Joker costumes. Better to be safe than sorry? Is it stupid?
I mean, is some idiot really going to run around killing people dressed as the Joker? I mean, I guess it's a possibility, but at the same time, though, you're restricting the people who are legit fans of the character, who are excited to see this portrayal and see, this vision that Joaquin Phoenix is bringing to the screen. And to me, you're kind of taking it from, because I mean, I remember when the last movie we saw, like, people weren't allowed to dress as Pennywise or as clowns.
Yeah.
When we saw It Chapter 2, like, there was a sign right at the theater. Yep. And I'm just kind of like,
yeah. I get for like security purposes, but you can still dress in a costume and pass through security checks just fine. They do it every single Comic-Con. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one thing if you had some sort of mask you were wearing or something that obscures your face, but Joker's just face paint makeup. And I get maybe they were worried about facial recognition for like cameras, if assuming you do a crime.
We shouldn't be able to use that.
But
anyway,
aside from that, they could at least allow people to wear the actual costume. You know what I mean? Like.
I know we're not, and I know Julian kind of brought up political stuff, but can we I'm just going to say briefly that it shows how screwed up our society is that we can't go to a goddamn movie theater dressed as our favorite character anymore without this threat of violence.
I agree.
Do you remember 2 years ago for Halloween? I did Joker. I was Joker, and it was fun, and I was actually, like, I had a moment. I was thinking, like, hey, and I think I can because AMC hasn't banned costumes, but like, I was thinking about going to see Joker in my Joker thing. Yeah. I did a custom, like,
tailored suit sort of
thing? It was not a custom that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, but I did like my own take on what I thought Joker was, and it was cool, and like I would love to do it, but
I remember I was disappointed after the shootings that did happen during the last Batman trilogy film.
Yeah.
That one
Chris Nolan.
like nothing happened with but I remember they just banned like all costumes, so I was like, so if I show up, like, if I want to show up as Supergirl eventually, if they make like a movie like this, I'm like, I can't even wear that. Like, that is straight up just like spandex and a cape. It's just kind of ridiculous. I know that it ebbs and flows, so you know, they've started to have, like, people still show up in costume to things and back and forth, but...
I mean...
Well, and you got to do... Sorry, Matt. You
No,
got
you're
to do your... You know, you didn't go into the movie, but you got to do dress as Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I was dressed as Captain Marvel and
at the
promoting
Regal
it literally
thing
right
you did for
outside
Wade.
where people walk in to get the actual...
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, as Brittany said, though, is that nobody has seen the movie yet, unless, you know, you're one of those people that gives an 8-minute applause to a movie, in which case I just think you're a weirdo.
And then you think those people would bring up the fact that this is like, this might promote violence, or this is sending this message, it's bad.
Yeah.
And no one said any of that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be honest here in that, like, most film festivals are not going to be bastions of far-right thought. Like,
No, that's very true.
Like, so I highly doubt that if this movie truly promoted that kind of violence as people might think it does, that there would have been some rumblings of, like, this movie's really messed up.
Outrage it, con. Sacré bleu. C'est pas avant-garde.
Well, like you said, we've said it multiple times now, we haven't seen the movie yet. We will be reviewing it next week, so if you want to know our thoughts on it, you can listen to episode 33 next week. We will be going to see that this Saturday. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah,
like the
I'm
more
curious.
it's actually in the news, the more excited I am.
Heather
to see
actually
it.
wants to see it.
She should come with us.
No, I know, and I told her, I'm like, yeah, we'll drag you along.
Yeah, there.
So, let's get to Sony's state of play. We had a lot of opinions on this about what was going to be shown before it actually happened, and suffice to say, it was a massive letdown.
Well, it was only like 11 minutes. It was just trailer
which was
after
shocking
trailer.
to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wasn't like a huge like E3 event. Or, like,
No, it wasn't, but
D23.
Sony needed it to be.
Yeah, after missing E3, you think they
Yeah.
were going to, like, come out swinging hard on this. But
They struck out hard with this, and let's get right to it. First off, before we get into what was shown, Matt, did you get a chance to watch the video?
I only read, like, some articles about what was going on because I'm not a PlayStation guy, so
Right.
I just kind of, like, familiarized myself with some of the stuff that was shown.
Disappointing.
So, yeah.
I mean, I watched the video and I even like PlayStation, and I was just kind of like, this is literally like trailers they could have shown at E3 anyway, and just
Yeah, so let's go down the list. I'm not going to go down every single thing they posted because it was some of them were crazy indie weird ass looking games. We'll go through the big titles here. The first big title they showed was Modern Warfare, which does look. Listen,
I played the beta. I played the beta on multiplayer over last weekend, and I mean, it's a Modern Warfare multiplayer.
nothing interesting.
I wasn't blown away by it. Like, because a kid that I work with, you know, he basically messaged me. He's like, "Oh, Matt, Repper, you know, are you gonna download the beta?" And I'm like, "Fine, I'll download the freaking beta and play with you and your friends." You know, so me, a 37-year-old,
so excited.
So me, a 37-year-old's playing with a bunch of like 20-something-year-olds, and I mean, you can tell out of place I probably was in the party. But I mean, it was okay. I fell out of Call of Duty's multiplayer years ago.
I think Black Ops, the original Black Ops, is the last Modern Warfare I played.
I mean, I've played the Modern Warfares that have had stories.
Yeah.
I've played those,
Yep.
but like the multiplayer, I think either Modern Warfare 2, maybe even Modern Warfare 3 was the last time that I ever actively played at length the multiplayer. So
yeah, last time I played any multiplayer for any sort of Call of Duty game was in high school. Maybe
was that like a
first
year ago?
college.
Or?
Oh, damn!
Rude. The very last year I was there was 2012. It's funny because earlier you were
2012.
like me as a 30-year-old, and I would have been like me as a theoretical 30-year-old, but blatantly not.
And guess what? My 20-year high school reunion is next year.
Um,
so.
Wow.
I got excited by the campaign trailer. It looks like it's going to be a fun campaign.
It's the same game that they released years ago, but they're going to tweak it and do different things to it.
No, they're not. It's a sequel.
No, it's basically a reboot because Captain Price died, if I recall correctly.
No, I'm pretty sure that like he faked, and this is like an actual sequel.
I have to look into that.
So you
Well,
pulled a Professor Xavier on
Either
them?
way, one of the biggest things that they announced, which is pissing a lot of people off, is that their survival mode, their co-op survival mode, is going to be a PS4 exclusive for 1 full year. And it seemed like we were kind of getting away from console exclusive, events like this, and obviously that's not the case.
The funny thing about this is that if you're I think Infinity Ward is the developers for Modern Warfare. If you're Infinity Ward, I cannot think of a way that your game is going to fall out of favor. Like, in a year, how many people do you think are realistically going to be playing your game mode? Oh, guess what? Console and PC, or, Xbox and PC. Here's survival mode a year afterwards. yeah, great, dude. I'm already playing X game that came out this year. Like, I don't care. So it's, to me, it's like you guys bought exclusive. I mean, I know why they did it, because Sony backed up a dump truck of money or whatever and said, hey, just make this new game mode ours for a year. Because, I mean, Infinity Ward doesn't care one way or the other, but they got all this extra money. So they're like, yeah, whatever, we'll make this game mode exclusive for a year.
It's just shocking to me when you're dealing with these kind of games, which I feel like these kind of shooters are becoming less and less popular when, Bungie's creating a whole world and ecosystem with Destiny, and Borderlands is a really successful franchise. And then you have Battlefield and Call of Duty just pouring out games year after year after year, but doing almost jack all in the terms of support. Like, people are really pissed off with how Battlefield 5 is going. Their Battle Royale mode sucks. Okay? Mm-hmm. They had a whole layout of support planned. Okay? And that's apparently not happening.
I have something funny to add to that, but go on.
No, go ahead.
So, speaking of roadmaps for games, I don't know if you've heard this, but Anthem dropped its roadmap. Basically, they said, we're just going to release like a little stuff here or there. That whole roadmap that they planned out, it's done.
Anthem's done.
So, no, and it is. But that's the problem with these video games. Like, whenever a video game has a roadmap, I immediately am like, because, like, if the game's not popular, then guess what? Like, you're not going to get that content they're promising you.
Star Wars Battlefront has a roadmap now, and people are playing that game again because EA realized how badly they screwed up and now are like pushing out good content for the game.
I still have no interest in playing it.
Destiny has a roadmap for the coming year, which looks fun. I don't have a problem with a roadmap. I have a problem with pushing out these games year after year after year when, like, you could just sit on it,
Yeah, but a brand new game doesn't need and I feel like Brittany can't be isn't a part of this. I feel bad. But like a new game shouldn't, like a game that's been out that has people actively playing it, okay, fine, roadmap it, because how are you going to keep people engaged and interested? But a brand new game should not, I say again, should not have a roadmap.
Okay,
because
that I agree
you're
with
promising me content that probably should have been in there at the beginning, and it's not a roadmap thing, but I'm actually looking forward to the game Controls DLC, which supposedly comes out later this year, because the game was complete, and so any DLC that comes after
They're making after.
is building upon what you already did.
As it should be.
So,
yeah, as it should be, 100%. So we'll see what the reviews are. I'm never pre-ordering a Battlefield. I haven't pre-ordered a Battlefield or Modern Warfare since.
I love the Battlefield games, but honestly, 5 I was very let down by 5.
Yeah, 5 was not very good. Let's move on. They showed a VR trailer for LA Noire from Rockstar. The big question is, and Brittany, I'll start with you, is VR here to stay, or is it just going to end up being another fad like 3D?
I was going to say, as far as LA Noire, bold of you to assume I cared. But VR in general, I think that it has the potential to be bigger. It's just like people don't really have access to VR, and people aren't really willing to buy the VR supplements or things that you add on to your system. I feel like if they started having arcades places more often and then incorporating VR that way, so people would actually come out with their friends and play it. Like, there's a lot of really cool games that are on VR but it's like few and far between. So I feel like if they get more and more better games or more immersive ones that people would then want to actually buy VR sets for, then we're good. But for now, it's just kind of like, if you happen to be one of those people with the VR set and then a cool game comes out, like, oh, cool, here we go.
And that's the thing. Like, I'm not ready to spend $350, on top of my PS4 and eventually my PS5.
For maybe 2 or 3 games you think are cool.
Yeah. Does anyone at this table give a shit about L.A. Noire?
No.
No.
Not even when it came out.
I mean, I own LA Noire on both the 360 and the Xbox One, the remaster they did.
And Julian gets shot down.
Did they fix the faces?
I mean, honestly, I always thought the faces looked good. Like, it was very good motion cap. But honestly, VR, and I've said this about VR never has interested me. There's too many issues I have with it.
I'm not getting VR.
No, I have no interest in getting VR.
If Cecily or Caleb, when they're older, say, Daddy, please, let's get VR, and there's something really cool out, like, maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe.
But it would have to get to that point. But for right now, it's not.
It's definitely
barely
not.
Scratching the surface.
Let's talk about a game that is getting a ton of buzz, and that's Death Stranding.
Hideo Kojima.
I'm probably about to piss off Brittany.
I'm
Oh,
probably
you
gonna piss
can.
off.
You're not. Why are you assuming that I'm like, woo?
Hideo Kojima.
You just did a
Hideo
dance
Kojima
about
is one of the most overrated video game designers.
Well, everything's
ever.
super convoluted with him, obviously. That's why people are like, "What is Death Stranding?" I'm like, "Good luck. Even you'll finish the game, you still won't know what the fuck
I
that
mean,
game's about."
like the last Hideo Kojima game I played was Metal Gear Solid 5, I think it was, and like I was baffled by the story, the gameplay choices. Like, oh, here's your home base. It's this abandoned oil rig, and I'm like, oh, cool. I get to build this oil rig. Oh, let me install this new area, and then, oh no, it's a path you have to drive to, and it is literally like 2 miles away. Or you could take the helicopter, which you have to wait for that son of a bitch to land, fly you over there, drop you off, and I'm like, what were you thinking when you designed this, dude? And the main villain, like, and I never even finished the game because it was so ridiculous, was like this dude named Skullface, who had like his
So
skin,
original.
whose skin was like all melted and screwed up, but
Red
he was
Skull.
wearing like this black like Lone Ranger mask, and I'm like, what the fuck is the purpose of this? He's like, is he trying to hide his
Almost just
identity?
spit water out of my mouth.
Like,
God
hey,
damn.
yo, hey,
Yeah,
who's
facial
this?
recognition already can't pick me up. But
Yeah,
check
it's
this
like,
out.
hey, who's this dude with the melted face? I don't know who he is, but he's got this black mask on that covers his eyes like Robin. Like Hideo Kojima, like I acknowledge the guy's contributions to the video game industry, but his stories are some of the most convoluted pieces of shit I have ever played.
For me, it's like it's always banking on also like who are the big names in this. Like they're always full of like big actors, and I'm like, nothing about any of these actors makes me want to get Death Stranding any more than I want to get it, and that's already 0%. Like, I'm not getting Death Stranded. I could care less. I also, and this is maybe going to be an unpopular opinion with you two, I don't really give a shit about Cyberpunk 2077 either right now. I'm sorry.
Get the fuck out of this room.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna throw my pen. I love sci-fi, but at the same time,
Listen, I love sci-fi too. You guys will tell me how it is. If you guys go, Julian,
probably will.
go out right now and go fucking get it. I'll go get it.
CD Projekt Red.
I trust them.
Yes, they've bought the cred with me. That like The Witcher 3, which I might get you as a Christmas present. I'm just telling you
I like
right
the way
now.
you think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I might get you the complete thing as a Christmas present. Like, Witcher 3 is probably one of my all-time top 3 greatest video games ever. Like, and that's across any console, any PC, all the years. Like, Witcher 3 is amazing.
But Death Stranding, again, is anybody at this table
No.
getting it day one?
No.
I might get it.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been planning on getting it just because from the initial trailer, I was like, "Oh, this seems pretty cool," and then like they only been giving you bits and pieces. Well, now he like even gives you like 30 minutes of gameplay, and you're like, "What is happening?" At the same time, like it was whack in that very first video where the lady walks out and she has that necklace on, and it turned out to be a code that the internet, like people on the internet, actually figured out and deciphered that took them to another website to then see another video. Like, it's been pretty like layered and embedded, so I'm just like enjoying the journey of watching all these other people clamoring for it. I'm just like, what is gonna happen next? So I mean,
Until
I'll probably play it because I want to see
Well,
what's gonna
Brittany
happen.
will be...
Troy
you know,
Baker.
Yeah.
is in that
until
game.
until
Oh,
that-
is he?
Yeah.
Until there's that conversation between two characters, like, are we the real monsters here? Like, no, we're not.
Well, Brittany will be the one person at the table getting it day one. We will obviously want to hear your thoughts about the game. I believe November?
We'll see how quickly I can play it. What
Yeah.
with my hectic work
You have to
schedule,
beat
my
it in
5 jobs
24
I have.
hours. Otherwise, you can't talk about it. No, kidding.
my God.
Yeah, I think it comes out in November or January. It's one of those.
I feel like it's gonna be like a 50-hour game or something stupid.
His games are always incredibly long. If I'm not, like the Metal Gear games.
Well, you're
were
also
always really-
literally making your way across the U.S., like pulling a Last of Us, but more convoluted, obviously.
Oh boy.
But
Speaking of, we are saving that for the
last.
best for last. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
This is the big elephant in the room. Absolutely nothing. Not a word, not a peep. Not even a mention or a little sneak peek on the PlayStation 5. What the hell is going on with the next console generation? This is talking about both PlayStation and Xbox.
I've been wondering that for the longest time, because you think at this point they would have at least announced it and given a price point to say, hey, it's $600-$700. I'm feeling that's where they're gonna fall, and say like, all right, kiddies, it's $600-$700. Like, start saving your pennies now, because you want this stuff day one. It's gonna cost you, but
for all you kids out there, that's a lot of pennies.
Yeah.
a lot of pennies.
Just talking conversion, Yeah, I mean, I'm not super surprised about it. I feel like they're just taking their time. I know typically modern consoles have like that 5-year life cycle, and we're obviously already coming to the end of that. So like the new announcement should be happening, but I think they're like banking on, I mean, all parties are banking on their games coming out and seeing like how well that does, and then they're gonna be like, by the way, here's the next console. Well, I don't know when they'd announce. I expected like E3 this year to be the big announcement, and then it didn't happen then.
Yeah,
so I was
exactly.
like, then it's going to be E3 next year. Like, I don't expect it to happen
E3
anywhere
next
before
year,
that.
That's like way too. That's short notice, though.
But at this point, like, when else could it be?
Yeah, because it would be really awkward to just do an announcement but not have a big event associated with it.
But here's the deal, like, and this is going to bring us into The Last of Us 2, but talking about Cyberpunk 2077, talking about Death Stranding, these are 2-3 games that I thought were going to be PS5, Xbox launch titles, and obviously not the case.
Cyberpunk.
I always thought Last of Us 2 would be on PS4.
Yeah, I never expected Cyberpunk because they've already announced its release date and it's like spring of next year. So
Yeah,
that's never.
No, I know. So it's just shocking to me that we're still, what should basically be a year away from the next console drop, and there's just been not a peep.
Yeah.
There's the names of like Project Scarlet, and I think the next PlayStation is simply going to be the PS5.
Yeah.
But and there's that one piece of news that they are launching a PS5 and PS5 Pro together.
Yeah.
But there's no specs, there's no video, there's no, hey, these are the exclusives, no price point. It's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Capitalism, they're still working on it. It's still in development, but they don't want to let you know. But I was going to say the reason they get away with this now is because they keep doing these things like the Xbox One S and the PS4 Pro. Like, in between doing the big jumps, they're like just doing a more enhanced, or like, this has more memory. Here you go, and it fills in the gap, so they think they can get away with more time.
And I had huge problems with the Xbox S and the no drive Xbox. Like, just come on, like it's not necessary. My whole theory on the driveless Xbox was that they were testing that out to see if the new Xboxes would be driveless.
No, I said the same thing.
Yeah,
I think
so
we did that.
We need to get to the big icing on the cake. We know Brittany is ridiculously excited and a little bit of a psychic about The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I'm a huge Last of Us person, and that's fine if other people aren't, because I understand. Obviously, this game's releasing, and I called literally the week it was going to come out, my birthday week. So my birthday is on February 20th. So next year, February 21st of 2020, this game will be released.
Well, we know what we're getting.
And I was picking up on subtle like hints or just like certain things the actors would say in interviews about it, that kept making me like shorten the time frame and like figure out when it was going to be. And I was like, I really hope it's in February. When I met with Troy and Nolan at Keystone Comic-Con, I even said to Troy, I was like, while talking to him about The Last of Us 2, he agreed with me that it wasn't exactly a sequel, and he said it was a continuation. And I was like, I knew it. And I was like, it better come out in February, man, around my birthday. And lo and behold, here we are.
There you go.
Also, the new trailer, like, I enjoyed it a lot. Also, I'm not shocked at any of the events because I'm like, some traumatic event's going to happen. Most likely, Ellie's girlfriend dies. And then she's going to go on this revenge-filled, violent cycle quest where we realize why we as humans do these things. And at what point does getting justice for people reach a certain level where it's unacceptable? Or
I'm going to tell you right now, if this is simply just a revenge game, it's going to piss me off even more. The thing I got from the trailer was that she's maybe going back to give herself up as the cure. Like, I kind of got that feel from this trailer. I could be dead wrong. It looks like you think I'm wrong.
It's okay. They could do that, I guess, but we'll see. But this is like Naughty Dog's, it's their biggest project they've ever done, and it's their Last of Us has always been like their love project. And I'm really excited for the story because they really put like their heart and soul in the first game with the relationship between Joel and Ellie, and that's all that game was about. Was you as a character, you as a player playing the game are supposed to like eventually get to the point where you feel this unconditional love that they do for each other. So the whole first game was about love and hope in like this bleak and desperate world, and then this one's about the opposite of that. Like, how do we as humans deal with like hatred and wanting revenge, and also why are people like this? So the thing is, I don't think like the game is still going to end in a good lighthearted note, but it's just showing that like what people will do to get what they think is justice for things that have happened. It's kind of like how you find Joel in the beginning of the first game, where 20 some years have passed. His daughter's been dead. He lives this life that he has to literally just day to day find some reason to survive and do what he does. But now Ellie, she's only grown up in this world. She hasn't known what life was like even before this whole event happened. So it's been very hard for her to have these small moments of happiness, and she knows they're fleeting, and then something really horrible and traumatic happens, which remains to be seen, but then she goes on this quest where she wants to get revenge for it. But in this game, they've incorporated the characters that you kill, like, you're going to have to take into account. There's different ways of playing the game where you don't actually have to kill people or you don't have to do things a certain way. Obviously, stealth versus, fighting mode. But now, when you shoot someone, like, they have names. You can shoot some guy and someone else will be like, Tom's down or whatever. Like, they'll actually be upset. And the emotional toll is there. I mean, it's always been that way with Naughty Dog, but I'm really excited to see what they do because they've been working on this for so long, and I don't know, I'm just really excited about it. And this won't even briefly cover what I actually have all in my mind. I'm not prepared to talk about it for hours, but I always can.
You will be. You will be.
Yeah. I mean, right now I just don't want to get into it all, but I'm sure when the game comes out, I'll flesh it all out and I'll be like, this is what I called happening. This is what ended up happening. This is how right I was. Right.
And we'll certainly be doing that. Yeah. Are you going to get it?
I may. I don't know. It depends on where my finances are when it comes out. And, I mean, I've said my PlayStation doesn't get a lot of use. So.
I'll be getting the Ellie's Collector Edition.
Of course. No.
But also, Ellie is a character, like, I finally saw myself in a video game when I played The Last of Us, like, the first game. Like, her, as a 14-year-old, was me, as a kid. And even now, when I see the trailer for this newest game, and, like, just what she goes through in life... I mean, aside from it, this isn't a post-apocalyptic society, and I'm not going through, like, really horrible violent stuff that's happening, but, like, there's certain things that mirror what it's been like for me. So, like, that's why it really connects with me, and that's why if some people say they don't like the games, I'm like, I get it. It's just, it didn't hit you the way it hit me. So, for Ellie, I'm just like, dang, I'm here with you. I'm ready to be hurt again.
I'm going to be living vicariously through you when you come and talk about it after it comes out. Those were the big... I guess if you can call them big, Last of Us being pretty damn big. And if you want Death Stranding, those are the big things coming out of Sony's State of Play. We'll have more on, the consoles as news develops, and right now there's just not a lot. Let's get to our main segment of the show, and it is all about taking something from page to the screen. It could be a comic book, it could be a book, it could be anything that is on the written page. Matt, this is another one of your awesome topics that we have here to discuss. And we are going to go in counterclockwise order here. Matt, we'll start with you since this is your brainchild. What is a book series that you would like to see produced from page onto the screen, whether it be a movie or a television series?
So I came up with this idea way back when Game of Thrones was ending, because I thought to myself, like, all right, Game of Thrones is ending. What's the next big book stuff that you could do? And a fantasy author who I don't think he's gotten a lot of cred, even though he's been writing for 30-something years.
Can I guess?
Is Raymond... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, you already said his name and I was going to be wrong. I was going to say Terry Pratchett.
No, Raymond D. Feist. Terry Pratchett already has a few movies.
Yeah.
But Raymond D. Feist, he's known for the Rift War saga, it's called. The first two books. The first one was published in 1982.
Oh, God damn.
Yeah. But the Magician Apprentice book and the Magician Master. And he also did Silverthorn and Darkness at Sethanon. All great books. And then he goes further than that. However, the trilogy that I want from Raymond D. Feist is you have to do the Magician series, the Rift War saga, to get to what's called the Empire trilogy. If you want a female main character who basically is awesome, who is badass, who plays the game, she's not a warrior by any stretch of the imagination. She is Mara of the Akoma. And basically, the Magician Apprentice and Magician Master deal with this war, the War of the Worlds, essentially, where this standard sword and sorcery D&D type setting with orcs and elves and crap like that basically gets invaded from the rift. This rift appears in their world, and this empire, the Saranuwani, invades them. And basically, the best way to describe them is they're almost like samurai. They don't use metal swords or anything like that. They use like a plant that they actually hone and carve, isn't that because metal's very rare to them.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong here? And I could be getting the titles mixed up. Did they not make a Magician's Apprentice movie, a failed Magician's Apprentice?
I've never heard anything of it.
What was that movie? That shitty movie with Jack Black and the kid, it was like a comedy, and it was in like a house.
I have no idea. None of these books are not comedies. Like,
Okay,
because
so
like main
maybe
characters.
I might be thinking of something
I
else.
think
then.
they named a movie like The Magician's Apprentice.
Yeah, I
or
mean-
something goofy that.
Oh,
You're,
okay.
you're thinking of like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, and that was
that
with
that
Nick
was it.
Cage
I think.
and-
Yeah. Okay.
So, but basically, as I said, the Empire trilogy would make. I mean, you probably could do a TV show, but as I said, the Rift Force saga is what kind of sets up the Serranawani. That's where Mara lives. She lives on this world in the Serranawani Empire. And I'll like a quick rundown. Her father and brother are killed in this war on this other world, and so she's the last of her house. And obviously, it's all about how she politically maneuvers her house to basically like gain power, ascendant, and all that. She takes on like the establishment. It's a great series of books. The trilogy is amazing to read. I cannot recommend it enough.
Cool. Brittany.
Okay, so I decided to pick some graphic novels that I read in the last few years that I'm always like, oh, that could be cool if it was made into a TV show or a movie. So the first one I want to propose is Sweet Tooth. Don't know if you guys have read this, but it's another Jeff Lemire book series. So it was like 40 issues when it came out as comics, and then it became, a 6-issue graphic novel series. I read them as graphic novels. And it's this cool post-apocalyptic world. I know you're going to say I have a thing for post-apocalyptic things, but there's just some good stories. So this is a post-apocalyptic future. It's kind of more Mad Maxy, where there's these human-animal hybrid people. And it follows the main character, Gus, who's this young kid that is like mostly human, but then has like antlers and like kind of deer features like on his face. And he lives with his dad alone in the woods. And then his dad eventually like passes away from illness because he's old and stuff. And then he goes out and like wanders around on his own. Then some like hunters actually try to like kill him. And then this other guy saves him and then offers to take him to like this sanctuary place, which is where you're supposed to take these like hybrid animal people. But then like things aren't what they seem. Other people are met along the way. There's like really awesome storylines and like tragic events, hopeful events. Pretty great stuff. So it's like a really cool storyline. It goes to a bunch of different places. It even goes back in history. But it's actually one of those graphic novel series that has like a full arc. And where it ends, it's actually like a full lifetime has happened. So I highly recommend it for anybody who likes that sort of thing.
Would you want more of a like TV series like Game of Thrones or miniseries, or would you want it on the silver screen?
Oh, probably definitely a TV show. Because it would be easier to break it down the same way, even just by how the graphic novels
movies
are
you have
broken
to
up.
condense stuff
Yep.
too much.
Yeah, it would just, I don't think it might be too hard to do as a movie because they're like the hybrid people.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want them, I feel like with movie, they go to immediately CG or do something
Yeah.
like weird with it, and then it wouldn't be as good. But with a TV show, they'd have time to like, they have legitimate like costume departments that would like work on
To flesh
having
it out.
physical actors, but then like adding these parts to them to make them look like part animal. Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah.
You will cry though. I will say you will cry at one point in time. Everybody does.
I feel like we're all on the same page with theme wise. You're post-apocalyptic, your war type stuff.
Fantasy, yeah.
I'm going also with comics and / graphic novels, and that is Brian Vaughan's Saga.
Nice.
Saga, we've talked about it on the show before, is probably Karen and I's favorite. Big. It's called Saga for a reason. It is a long ass saga of events. It's written by Brian Vaughan. The art is done by Fiona Staples. It's a brilliant story. The best way to describe it, and it's how it's described when you read reviews, Star Wars meets Game of Thrones. Basically, it's the whole series of books is narrated by Hazel, who is the daughter of Alana and Marcos, who are basically like the Romeo and Juliet of this story. There's these two races who have been in a war forever and ever and ever, and they get married illegally, and then are basically chased by both factions while they have their daughter. So they're they're refugees and they're being hunted. It's just such a it's such a great series. It's got some really serious moments. It's got some great comedic moments.
I'm guessing you'd want to do TV with this one.
I'm going to get to that.
Way too
yeah.
much.
The reason I would do TV for it is because Carnival Row, which just came out on Amazon, gives me hope that they could actually do this because it features things that would be needed in this with like practical effects. They use some CG for the Fey wings in Carnival Row, but still with the horned creatures. There's horned creatures in Saga. I would love to see this as a show, and like I said, Carnival Row really gives me hope that they could pull it off well. But Saga is just so awesome, and it is deserving of a TV series, it would have to be on an HBO or Showtime. It's very graphic, lots of violence, lots of sex, lots of everything. Lots of just awesome, Brittany, you always talk about lore, like so much lore. It's a really cool series.
My favorite word, lore.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, Saga all the way. Matt, your next one.
All right, so these I could actually say would be good movies. So a trilogy of movies, and the books are by John Barnes, and the trilogy is called The Timeline Wars. And so the 3 books are, and this will give you an idea of what kind of stories we're talking about: Patton's spaceship, Washington's dirigible, and Caesar's bicycle. Basically, the story takes place with this guy who is a security expert. He lives in Pittsburgh, and his father is like a nationally renowned terrorism expert, and he knows of this terrorist group called the Blade of the Most Merciful. Long story short, they kill like this dude's entire family except for he and his dad. Like his wife, who he just finds out is pregnant, is killed, and this car bomb like basically wipes out his family. And then he finds out that these people are not from our world. They're from a different dimension. There are multiple Earths where different things have happened. And there's this war going on between then this group of, like, they basically form terrorist groups and they try and assume control of worlds. And they call themselves the Masters, but the book they call them the Closers. And they basically close off all possibilities except for the one that they want. The side that's fighting them exists from a world where Athens won the Peloponnesian War and basically developed a society, and they're the first ones that actually fought back and beat the Closers off their world, and so they fight them across different dimensions, and this dude gets recruited into this war, and he gets sent to different worlds. And basically, the first book is a world where the Nazis won, where it's the Closers, like it's one of their base worlds.
So like a little bit like Man in the High Castle.
Yes, but like as John Barnes says in one of the books, like in one of his author notes, he goes, when it comes to alternate history, it's best to either do something that could have happened or to just have fun with it. He goes, I took option B. And so, like, awesome. It's a fun trilogy. Like Washington's dirigible is if the U.S. never broke away from Great Britain and all this technological advances are doing, and Caesar's bicycle just goes completely off the rails. It's a fun series, but.
And you'd say
I would say movies. You could definitely do movies. Like they're not complicated enough books that I would say like you need a TV show to flesh out the characters. Like no, you could condense it into a movie and not lose a lot.
I'll skip the next 2 because, I mean, I'll mention them, but they're already being, quote, made into TV shows and stuff. But I originally, if you would have asked me the same question like a year ago, I would have said, Why the Last Man and Watchmen. Like, actually being their own TV series, but obviously HBO's doing, like, a Watchmen. And Why the Last Man's, I think, picked up by, like, FX or Sci-Fi, something like that.
Oh, God,
and it's going to be made into a show.
After one season.
I don't think it's Sci-Fi. I think it's FX.
Okay.
But, Why Last Man's a cool one if you haven't read it. It's literally about there being like a last man on Earth and how it would be if like the world was run by women, and plot twist, it's just as effed up, if not more. Because life is just wild. But moving onward to something else I would like to finally see done well in TV or film, which I'll take this as either way, probably maybe in film, would be if they did Secret Invasion. But I don't know how they'll do that since the MCU kind of has the scroll like on the side of the Avengers
seems like
right now.
they're going that way.
Yeah. I want to see Secret Invasion. Like, even if they just take over some of our heroes, because the whole thing was like, oh, no one's safe, or who do you trust? I just think they would be cool. But I just don't know how they're going to do it now.
I think it's really cool, and the ability to do it in comics is so much easier.
Oh, it's always
because in comics you can just bring anybody back like on a whim, or just say, oh, this character was a Skrull, but he really wasn't a Skrull. Like, I feel like that would like spark a outrage among nerdom if all of a sudden like Tony had been a Skrull all along, or or Rhodey had been like any of these characters that we've known to come and love. Like
you mean like when they made Captain America secretly
Hail Hydra.
Hail Hydra,
secretly a Nazi,
which was an awesome story run.
Whack.
I'm with you. I would love to see Secret Invasion though. It'll be interesting to see how they play it. You saw Fury at the end of Far From Home up in space with the Skrulls, so who knows?
Into space.
Living the dream. We'll see. And I know they like low-key hinted to the Skrull invasion when they had
Hill and
Captain Marvel.
Well, aside
from that part,
yeah.
In Spider-Man Homecoming. But when they actually had Captain Marvel, like that film come out, and then they were mentioning like they were trying to say that the Skrulls are trying to take over Earth and stuff like that, and I was like, I get it, Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
But then they plot twist didn't.
Julian, What else do you got?
Yeah, tell me what you got.
Tell me what you got, Julian. I will tell you what you got. What I want. What I really, really want.
Oh, God.
I want it. I want it. I want
Shut
it.
up.
I want it. I want to really, 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 really want to see a Thrawn trilogy of movies.
Okay.
Timothy Zahn needs to get his due, and he never will. He already got a little bit of it on Rebels.
Yes.
With Thrawn actually being introduced finally, but this will never happen, unfortunately, unless they decide to reboot Star Wars.
Oh, Jesus.
And go the expanded universe route.
Dun, dun.
The Thrawn trilogy is just epic. It's awesome. It introduces Grand Admiral Thrawn, who is one of the coolest Star Wars characters ever. The Thrawn trilogy takes place 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Rebellion / New Republic have basically sent the Empire into the unknown regions, formed the New Republic, and they're trying to make an actual working government out of this rebellion. And on top of all of that, Han and Leia are pregnant with the twins, Jaina and Jason, who should have been fucking Rey and Kylo Ren. Anyway, I'll rant about that later. Anyway, Thrawn is in command of what's left of the Imperial fleet and is planning to come back and retake, the galaxy, because Thrawn is as we know from the new Thrawn books and from Rebels, a complete military mastermind. There's a reason he's such an epic character. You get introduced to characters like Mara Jade, like I'm gonna forget his name, the one Jedi who knows where the Katana fleet is. It is just such a cool story, and there's a clone of Luke, and it'll never get made into a trilogy, and I really wish it would.
Yeah.
It absolutely deserves it. That would be mine. The Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire, baby. We have, I think, time to go around one more time.
All right, so I'm not gonna.
Gotta narrow it down.
So there's one more. There's actually two more, but I'll briefly just touch upon both. Harry Turtledove is the master of alternate history. He's done a series called The Southern Victory, where the South won the Civil War. And one of my favorite exchanges between two characters, when Abraham Lincoln says to the British ambassador, right when the Civil War's ended, he goes, "One day we're going to have friends in Europe. They're going to help us get back what you took from us." And the British ambassador kind of goes, "Somebody who's going to help you against Britain and France, good luck." And so the U.S. aligned with Germany in World War I. So World War I, there's trenches across the United States between the U.S. and the Confederacy, where there's trench warfare all through the U.S. And then, long story short, the Confederacy loses. So basically, their Hitler comes to rise, blaming blacks and stuff like that for their loss. And World War II happens between the U.S. and the Confederacy. So there's that one. It's called the Southern Victory series. It's like 9 books.
That sounds awesome.
Yes,
and
it's
terrifying.
But another one that I will do really quickly is The Machine of Death. It's called. It would be an anthology movie. The Machine of Death. There's 2 books. They're some of the most clever stories you've ever heard. The Machine of Death is the idea behind it is, imagine a machine just has a hole in it that you stick your finger in. It pokes your finger and it spits out a piece of paper that says how you will die. But the machine doesn't tell you when it will happen or the exact details of how it will happen. So it could say old age. That could either mean you die in your 80s or you get hit by an old man driving a car. And the stories are all about people dealing with this machine.
Or an old man gets thrown at you.
That sounds like it could be either a really awesome, certified fresh horror movie, or a straight,
it's not even
straight
horror,
up friend request type of movie.
One of the stories I'll spoil briefly is these two sisters, these 2 twins, both have whenever they use the machine, it spits out 2 pieces of paper where one says you will die of kidney problems, and the other one says old age surrounded by loved ones, and so they never know who it is that's going to have which thing. And the story ends with one of the sisters sacrificing herself to save the other sister because she has children and stuff like that. And it's a very powerful story, and it's really good. But the stories are awesome. I recommend reading the books, and as I said, it would make a great different. You could have different directors do different stories about the Machine of Death. So.
Okay.
All right.
Hard to follow that up. I'll just throw in 2 real quick, just like Matt did. So Bitch Planet is one that I'd love to see either as a movie or a TV show. Once again, most comic things would probably work better as TV shows because of their length. But if you don't know about it, Kelly Sue DeConnick did this. She's the one that worked on making Captain Marvel such a big A-lister that she is now. So it's a sci-fi dystopian story where basically any
love post-apocalyptic
No,
things.
sci-fi dystopia is my favorite genre. post-apocalyptic falls under that a lot.
Yes, it does.
So anyway, yes, I love sci-fi, so here we go. Okay. Any non-compliant women are basically sent to this off-space, prison that's called, what is it? The Auxiliary Compliance Outpost? Something like that. I don't remember. But, basically, like, you're just, like, tattooed with saying that you're non-compliant. And then you're sent here to this prison. And basically it shows all these different reasons and ways that these women ended up in this prison, and then, like, the just shenanigans that ensue within the prison. And I feel like it would be a good time as a TV show. I know it's like Orange is the New Black, basically.
I think I've heard of this, though. It sounds really familiar.
Well, it was really big when it was out. But yeah, I feel like if you already liked Orange is the New Black, it's that, but in space. And probably even more well-written, I guess. Definitely feminist. And then Dark Tower TV series. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm with you on that.
Please do it right.
My last one is a cheat because it's already being done. But I have to mention it because it hasn't been done well in the past. And Matt, it's something that you and I both love. I think Brittany too. Dune. Dune is getting done by Vincent Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Villeneuve. I cannot wait. I hope it's finally the Dune that we all need and deserve.
Yeah, we've already said it's going to look gorgeous.
It's going to look amazing.
Didn't he work on the most recent Blade Runner?
Yes, he did.
Okay,
Blade Runner,
then I
he
trust
did
him with my
Arrival.
life.
Yes,
so.
exactly.
Exactly, all the good sci-fi.
Because the sci-fi miniseries was decent, it wasn't great, and then they never did any more.
Long live the fighters!
Atreides! The David Lynch weird-ass movie from the 80s, my dad is in love with, and I think is horrible. So, Dune. Like, come back to me, baby. I need you. He
needs you like that spice.
And from what it sounds like, they're doing the movie, and then it's going into miniseries, which is exciting. So the spice must flow. That does it. We have a huge October plan for you. We are going to be bringing back the bargain bin at the end of the month. We are doing a bunch of movie reviews.
What have you done to us, Nikki?
What have you done to us, Nikki? We have a lot to do. So October is going to be plentiful, and happy Halloween ahead of time. It's always a good month.
Yeah.
October 15th show, I think we have to do some Halloween stuff.
Okay.
We'll figure it out. That does it for episode 32. We will be back with episode 33 and our Joker review next week. Have a good night.